Okay, good day and welcome to Tough Talk. My name is Steve Badier, and our topic for discussion today is bleaching and colorism. We will be asking the questions of what are factors? Why do we do skin bleaching? What are factors responsible, and how can we deal with this problem? Joining me to discuss this topic are my co-host, Katrina and Caroline. Okay, thank you guys for coming. Okay, so just to begin with, I have a big problem with skin bleaching, and I've always said to myself I wouldn't marry a woman who bleaches her skin, and so that's how much a problem I have with it. And there has been lots of resources out there on skin bleaching, so it goes back to our history of slavery and colonialism. So it's not something strange. But my first question is, how big a deal is skin bleaching? So if I could start with Mamusu.
I think skin bleaching is quite a big epidemic within our communities, coming from the whole colonization and slavery and everything, and the impact the West has had on our lives, because for a very long time, white has been seen as better. So because of that, I guess a lot of women choose to lighten their skin to be considered more beautiful and to be compared more to a Caucasian than they will to be an African. And I guess because of that, there's been a big epidemic within all across the continent of women who choose to lighten their skin to be considered beautiful or to be considered better than those of us who have darker complexion.
I think it comes from a place of having Eurocentric standards of beauty being held up to everyone, and you're told that this is what is beautiful, and then the language doesn't include anything that says dark is beautiful or darker skinned girls are beautiful. So when you're told that, and you're told that over generations, of course that's the idea that permeates time and time again, and the whole idea of skin bleaching becomes something that you want to do to raise your self-esteem, because you're being told that this other standard is what is the the ultimate goal to get to,
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think we all here are seeing, personally, I think we're all seeing something that it goes back to standards of beauty. But personally, I think when someone says to themselves, I want to bleach my skin, I think about the psychological aspects of that person's mind, and it just reflect what they are seeing. And so for a very long time, society have had this standard that lighter is beautiful, and the more you look, and let's be real, for example, light stands out, the light skin stands out. And I think, for me, what I'm more concerned about with people bleach, I'm more concerned about their psychological mind, where they are as a person.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that is very important, that we look at it instead of us saying, or for example, Steve had just said he would never marry a woman who has bleach her skin.
Yeah.
I think if you truly love a woman, then you should consider helping her to accept herself and be able to help her get to a place of saying, but you are beautiful. Your skin color does not define your beauty, your hair or makeup. A beauty, I think, comes from within, and that's what we society lack. We don't understand that. So we need to understand and preach self-love, like you said on Facebook post the other day I read. And I think we need to preach self-love and be a role model for that ourselves. So if you're going to tell someone don't bleach your skin, then please do something that we encourage them.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that people you want to consider colorism and skin bleaching as a community problem, but then you don't consider the person and how it's getting there to the extent where you want to,
I think, are we rolling or not?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, dang it.
Continue.
But it's I would compare it to is like a, let's say, a girl who's a bit flat-chested, getting a boob job so that you can feel better about yourself. So that's where this whole psychological thing, for an individual, that's where it sits. But then for a community, you have to look at the larger problem that's telling this person, where are you going to get to? And
let's not forget about the political aspect of the political setting we live in nowadays. Look at what's happening around us. Colorism plays an important role in our society, and politics plays a role in the way we view ourselves. Yeah. So it's really hard. I think it's really a hard thing for a person to make that decision to look different, but at the same time, it's affecting them physically, you know, they have physical damage to their skin, but they're not considering that because they're too busy worrying about what other people think about them. And we're trying to look like this person, be like that person, or to some extent we are getting ourselves into a place where we want to be accepted at the same time. And acceptance is very important.
Yeah, and I think just listening to these arguments, I'm sort of thinking about sort of the logical basis, because you just touched on something important, which is the political side of it. Colorism has to do with, it's like a political concept.
It is.
We started back in slavery or colonialism, and where these white slave masters or plantation owners favor biracial people. So when we're talking about light skin in terms of colorism, light versus dark, it's more of biracial kids who are called light skin. So there's a difference between light skin in the West to light skin we have in Africa, which is traditionally black people who comes with maybe a lighter complexion. So, and I think that's a logic we have to understand. It is political, and it is meant to refer to different people, because research has shown that biracial kids have better socioeconomic outcomes than darker people in America and in other parts of the Western world. So that's a distinction that is really important to note. But then I would like to know the logic behind, why people even consider like bleaching their skin. It's just more from the community, because sometimes like the community may accept it and then play a double standard to rejecting it again.
She was talking about, self-love and accepting himself and being out there. And she also talked about colorism and all this type of thing. So it goes back to that basic. I think what I wanted for us to touch base on is where this inspiration came from for us to get to this topic, like banning it in Africa, for example. I know Ghana is currently on the run for banning
skin bleaching products
in Ghana. And what we should understand, and I also read on World Health Organization that Nigeria alone, 77% of women, according to the World Health Organization, uses bleaching cream or bleaching products. And we should understand that this is a multi-million-dollar business in Africa. And what impact will it have on them? And if Ghana was to ban skin bleaching, what's going to happen to those businesses, and what law are they going to put in place to, for if someone was caught, for example, using
bleaching products
or selling it, what law are they going to put in place? How effective are those laws going to be? And we should also consider, maybe we should open a program that will encourage self-love and self-beauty instead of banning something, because what people tend to do, they retaliate if you do something against what they want. So we as African, we as people of colors, we need to consider how we can help our brothers and sisters out there to understand that if you love yourself and accept yourself, society eventually will accept you.
Just going back to what you just said regarding Ghana putting a bill to ban skin bleaching. And what if you get caught with the bleaching products? What would happen to you? The repercussions that would occur. What I don't want to happen is for people's rights of choice to be taken away from them. I think we should be able to provide programs that educate women and men about the damages of skin bleaching products. And if you choose to go ahead with it, at least you know the repercussions of your actions. But to take your human rights from choice of to choose to change your complexion away from you, I don't really think we should do that. But if we are going to ban certain products, we should create programs that educate you about why we're banning a certain product or why we're doing this and that. Just to give you a heads up that if you do choose to go ahead with something, the repercussions that come 20 years from now are all going to be on you and you alone.
And it's on many levels, right? It's on like the level of like implementing like sort of educational programs that teach you about the like, even purely from a health perspective, that this is what like skin bleaching is going to do to you long term, right? But it's also, like you're saying, it's also about teaching like African people or people of like dark skin to love themselves. And like in the past, what has happened, because you have a Eurocentric standard of beauty, all the language that is used to describe beauty is all very targeted towards like, white woman beauty. So it's less like, it's more so saying like words like fair and like pale and like those are the words that describe beauty, as opposed to like what I've been seeing kind of thing. Because I think at the very least, there's a kind of revolution happening where dark-skinned girls are starting to love themselves and coming up with different like language to to describe their beauty.
Can I just add to that, our hair? Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's the whole thing. Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? Yeah.
Share this story, guys.
Yeah.
When I first went natural, I cut my hair off. I spent 3 days in my bedroom. Just don't want to get out because I felt when I go out there, people will not see me as Lovette. Rather, they will see my hair. It was a self-conscious thing that really, really cut me. And I thought I had thick skin until I cut my hair. Then now I can proudly go out with my natural hair, no makeup, nothing, and feel as beautiful as I did when I had fake hair on. Or not fake hair, extensions.
It was real hair. It was my hair.
I bought it. It's my hair. Yeah. But it's when I went out with extensions. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think it just takes time. And like I said earlier, and I will continue to preach this, I think that if we as women, black women and men as well, if we can learn to love ourselves and love the way we are, I think society eventually would catch up with us. We don't have to live up to their standards of beauty. We can create our
change the language and change the way that you regard other people and what you think is beautiful, and have educational programs that tell you that this is why skin bleaching. Like, we're not going to say don't do it because at the end of the day it's a personal right. But this is why you shouldn't do it, instead of saying that it's just bad. It's better if you tell me why. Why is it bad?
And just in regards to what you just said, Lovette, about our men and educating them and everything else like that, I think within the media, within society, a lot of times African men tend to prefer women of lighter complexion. Maybe it's something I've just experienced personally, but it's something that I've seen occur in a lot of circumstances. And I think in order for us to be able to move forward, our men need to be just as a big advocate as we women are. Because what that does, you're not just lowering my self-esteem, you're lowering your sister's self-esteem. And if you have daughters, you're lowering their self-esteem as well, because you're telling them that light skin is better. Because there's been many circumstances within African communities where the mothers would push their sons to date women of lighter complexion because they want lighter grandkids. I've seen so many situations where this has happened.
I've kind of seen that when I go back home. I've seen that happen.
So they would push for you to date someone of a lighter complexion, so your kids will be better off. So you have more opportunities.
But it's the whole idea that that's how you propagate the same socioeconomic standards. It's like raising yourself up. It's what older generations would be like, raise your status.
And you know what you ladies had just said has just pointed to the fact that why girls bleach their skin. Say, for example, if a mother is going to tell her son to date a girl that is lighter, then this girl will be like, I like him, I'm a try to, No, if mothers are out there doing that, please, mommy, don't do it.
But then the question then is how. One thing first, I don't think black women should bleach their skin because of black men. It's like you are letting yourself down. Actually, you shouldn't do that. Black men have been more of a problem to black women than a solution. So I wouldn't advise a black woman to do that. There are some good black men, but generally we haven't represented the race as we should. So don't ever do that for the sake of getting a black man.
I think there are a lot of black men out there.
I think it's also not.
Generally we haven't done that because generally we haven't
when you
done
look
that.
at it, the African men have not supported African women the way we've supported them.
Yeah, true.
The African woman has always been the backbone of the family.
Word.
Most of the time we take the pressure more than the men do. And when anything happens, the woman is blamed, not the man. So in that case, I think the men need to start stepping up and start having a back as much as we've had the back through our history.
Yeah, so then my question would then be what are the pros and cons? Because I think we have touched on it in a way, but what will you sort of identify to women or men who are intending to bleach their skin as, or this is what you should look out for, these advantages? And this, the advantages and disadvantages.
Okay.
I think, first of all, I don't think you can look at it as a disadvantages and advantages and disadvantages, because it's such a personal thing to decide to bleach your skin, right? It's like say smoking. It's bad for you, but you kind of still do it when you're a smoker, right? So when you're going into bleaching your skin, it's not like you unless, well, you could exist in a community where you don't know the negative aspects of it, but like you kind of already do know the negative aspects, and that's what I'm saying. It becomes something psychologic, and because it's psychologic and it's within you, you can't say this is the complete good side of it and this is the complete bad side of it. It's kind of all intermixed, right? So then, if you look at it, you know the health like disadvantages of it, but you also look at the but then you have to weigh that up against, like, will I look better? Will society accept me more?
Will I get that job that I've been always wanting?
I totally agree with you, ladies, honestly. I think the pros, I would say, you'll be attractive, you have the skin you want, you have your standard of your type of beauty, because for you, that is beautiful to you. So I always encourage people to do what they want and what they feel comfortable in. But I guess the contrary, what are you teaching the next generation? What are you telling the people after you what are you telling the younger ones after you? Also consider the health risks that you're causing to yourself and your skin. We're not to say we're here to judge you, but we're just saying we want you to be able to look at yourself in a way that you can accept yourself and get to that standard of saying that, you know what, I am black, I am beautiful. If you want to make ways to make your blackness shine, because I've asked people why they bleach, and they're like, oh, my skin, I'm just trying to shine. I'm just
I am removing the black spots.
Yes. Black spots, and I told one of my friends, not friends, but someone that I know, acquaintance, I said to her, you know, when I want to shine my skin, I get coconut oil and I rub it on my skin.
Yeah, and it
shines in the sun. Yeah. But again, not to judge people out there for what they do, but just think about the long run. Would you be comfortable 10 years down the line when you've bleached your skin? And also consider the health risks you are causing to yourself. And also, what example are you setting for our next generations? Because at the end of the day, we want to have a good generation that comes after us. So we have to be what we want them
You have to set an example.
I definitely agree with what both ladies have said here. And one of my major problems when it comes to bleaching is the repercussions. Because at times I see women who bleach. I don't know, maybe it's a psychological thing. I don't know if they're doing it thinking that they're going to bleach their DNA. Because when you do bleach and you have a child, your child is dark. And then later on, and then like this is a very personal thing I'm about to say, but I've got a family friend who she does use lightening products, and she had a daughter, and the daughter came out darker than her mom. She came out with her father's complexion, and the daughter got to a point where she was asking me, do you know the cream my mom used so I can use it to lighten my skin? And it broke my heart. Because she's just as beautiful as her mother with her dark complexion and everything, and she is gorgeous. But because she sees her mom is lighter than her, she feels that she should be light in order for her to be considered beautiful. So I think for a lot of women who are bleaching, consider these factors. Consider the impact it's going to have on your children or the women around you, the young girls around you. In order for us to be better as a people and as a community, we have to start being an example of what we really want to see, to be an inclusive community that sees beauty in all shades of black, not just one particular shade of black, and to teach the ones coming behind us that regardless of your complexion, you are beautiful. Don't think that one complexion is more beautiful than your complexion just because society says it is.
I think, it's about shattering that whole idea of, like, there is one standard of beauty. There isn't one standard of beauty. Like, we all look different and stuff. So, like, thinking that, I have to look like this or I have to look like this to be considered beautiful, that's such a wrong idea. It's not one. It's all of us.
Yes.
For sure. And I think just a beautiful point you touched on. Like, it's more psychological, and we should understand that. And when people try to bleach, they should question their own mindset. I think they should take a deeper look at their own mindset. To know that something is wrong with the brain, because we are all different races, and there's no one race who has the moral authority to define the standard of other races, and that's why God made us different, and we are unique in our own ways and have our own unique standards. So no race should ever subscribe to the standard of beauty of another race that has different phenotypical features. They are different, we are different, so we have our own standard of beauty. But to the point you just made, and concluding from our side, it's like, it is so stupid that some black women, and again, let's recognize the fact that when we are speaking of bleaching and colorism in the West, it's different. sometimes it has to do with socioeconomic issues, and I
Yeah.
talk about biracial people, which is a whole different consideration. But then with African women, they bleach for sometimes relationship. They want to get to look attractive.
Yeah.
Like, why do you bleach and then go and marry a black guy? Like, and sometimes they do it. You see a bleaching woman go and marry a black guy. So if you don't like your own skin color, why would you date a black guy then?
I think
yeah. So then they should, these are things they should really take into consideration and know that they will look ugly. You cannot replace a natural color with chemical. You strictly look ugly.
I don't think it's even like that. I hate other black people. No, or it's more so that I am seeing myself as not being attractive, and so then that's why I will like if I was like you consider yourself I'm too dark skinned, I will bleach myself and then go find a black man because I want to be attractive to him. Yeah. It's not that I'm seeing anybody else as being.
He's another black guy too.
But his beauty is not my beauty. Exactly. So my beauty is my own, and so
it's
the way of my own self, it's not the standard of everybody of the community. So I can see someone else who's.
But if listen, a standard of beauty shouldn't just include your skin color, because the skin color is something that is generic to everyone, not just you. Yeah. So if skin color is a problem, then you shouldn't affiliate sexually with another person of the same skin color. So we have other physical features that should be considered, maybe big nose, or other things that should be considered as a standard that is different.
It all goes down to people's mentality, people's interpretation of things. So you can't just place such a statement because we're all different, we all think differently. If somebody chooses to bleach, like let's say if I was bleaching, but then yes, I still like black men, I'm probably bleaching to be found more attractive
for yourself.
Yeah, for myself, and like the opposite sex to be more attractive to me. Because at times African men, maybe it's just the ones I've encountered, but a lot of them tend to prefer the lighter skin girls. So maybe
because you've been told that.
Yeah, you've been told that light skin is beautiful. So I will bleach, so I'll be considered beautiful. But it's not saying I'm going to bleach because I look down on.
Because I don't want to be black anymore. Yeah.
No, it's
some
not
girls probably do it because of that. I've met girls who bleach because
they don't want to be black
anymore.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, they mix in with the Caucasian community, and Caucasian community goes in black. So you come back to us like you can never be accepted anywhere you go. So
I think it's because you're told that this is what is attractive. So you try to be what is attractive. You're not saying that other people aren't attractive, but you're told that this is what you should try to be to get a man, right? Any man.
Not just for me, a job.
Anything.
Like
so you're told this is the standard. Yeah. So
I still don't buy that, but let me just get the last one.
Absolutely, you don't have to buy it, Steve. That's why this is an opinion platform. We gave our opinions,
and I think
ladies who bleach, Steve is not interested.
Well.
So any last word before we close?
I think if someone's out there is making a choice to bleach, again, I can't stress it any much than I already have. I think you should please consider their impact on you, and also try to love yourself, because once you love yourself, those things don't mean nothing. Absolutely nothing. And eventually society will learn to love you the way you are. And if you're doing it for any other reasons, consider why you were doing it and what impact are you making in this world, because we all want to have a generation after us that we can be proud of. Because I know people in my generation say, oh, the generation before us judge us. Well, guess what? Who raised us? So I think we should get to that place of self-acceptance and love. And society will catch up with us.
Yeah, definitely.
I think, to be able to combat this problem, first of all, we have to be aware of the problem and understand that it's something that's it's not something that's happening at the forefront of our mind, because it's a generational conditioning. It's something that exists below the surface. So you have to actually question yourself and ask, why am I thinking like this? Why am I thinking that there's a standard of beauty that I have to uphold myself to? And then once you're aware of it, is to now start changing it. And one of the things that I think isn't done is uplifting, like changing the language so that you uplift people who might, like, the conditioning might make you feel like you're not attractive, right? So you change the language and you start saying, like, my melanin's popping kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and like, you know, like dark skin is beautiful, and
Yeah.
like change the language so that like you're including all of these people who have been insofar excluded
Yeah.
by what society is considering to be. So in the African/Black community, one of the things that I would like to see is for African men to start lifting up, like, you know, your dark skinned sisters, you know, so that you can tell them they're beautiful as well too, because you don't want to be told that, like, you know, you think like as a Black woman, the one person who should have my back is a Black man. Yeah, exactly, is a Black man. So that's what you want to hear. You want to hear a Black man lifting up like your sisters and
Yes.
like you and who you represent, right? So like, you know, let's have each other's backs like that. And just, you know, love each other out there. It's, yeah.
One thing I just want to leave with is your Black is beautiful. Regardless of
Regardless,
what shade it is,
yeah,
your
yeah,
Black is
words.
beautiful.
Yeah.
We are blessed in many ways. Our thick lips, our big nose, our big bums. It is a blessing. It is in any way, in any form that you come, you're a blessing to somebody. So don't allow society's standard of beauty to identify your standard of beauty.
Yeah.
What makes you beautiful is who you are, and being an individual. So if I'm going to leave with anything, is love yourself as you are, and we as African women should continue to be advocates of self-love and to empower the ones who come behind us and say, my dear, you're just as beautiful as anybody else in the world. Keep your head in your books and you shall do great things.
Absolutely.
Words.
Couldn't say it any much.
Yeah, sure. And I think Black women, like I said before, every race has their own standard of beauty. You know, you are a different race. Do not subscribe to what other race, you know, or races set as a standard for you. And do not bleach because of Black men, like I said before. I want to say this again. Black men haven't represented our race enough. They really don't, in most cases, don't uphold the value of the Black race. So if a Black woman is bleaching because she's going to look beautiful to a Black man, she's letting herself down. You know, just believe in yourself. Our value is not based on who we look like. It's based on what we do.
Yes,
so, you know, value yourself based on your good characteristics, not what you look like. You are letting yourself down. So I wouldn't advise anyone to bleach. Bleaching is bad. So on this note, I say thank you to my guests. Thank you very much for coming on. And don't hesitate to leave your comments. And it is important. Thank you for your support. It is important to share your views with us. Thanks.